Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, you guys. My name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night talk show where we explore what and who we are in this journey called life. And so we go over a lot of really cool topics in these Monday night videos. If you want to see any of the past shows, they're on a playlist called Monday Night Live on my YouTube channel, and all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel and hit that playlist, and you can go back and watch any of the past shows. There's shows on black-eyed children, ghosts and spirits, doppelgangers, solfeggio frequencies, all kinds of informational stuff, healing energies of water, and more. Let's do some quick shout outs over here. Maggie, Melissa, big kisses to you and Cleo, Kim Asher, Mamie Lawson, Mike, Sherry, Catherine, Rolando, and Connie. Thanks for joining. And hey to all you guys over here on Instagram. Thanks for joining us this evening. Tonight's topic is going to be apports. What are they? Are they fake? Are they real? But so, does anybody know what apports are? Because every time I try to talk to people or talk to my clients about, well, this could have been an apport, or, you know, maybe that has the classical hallmarks of an apport, I kind of get that starry-eyed look like, what is she talking about? So do any of you guys tonight know already what an apport is? And have you ever had something like that happen to you? So apports classically were objects that were produced during a seance or a mediumship, and the mediums were supposed to have a hand in producing these objects. Supposedly they were objects from the deceased or had something to do with the deceased of the people that were in the sitting or in the seance. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Hey to John Watson. So literally the definition of apport is an action of bringing, or a thing being brought or sent to, or to bring. And it's a motion or production of an object by a spiritualist or a medium without apparent physical agency. So the object is produced supposedly out of thin air, and these objects were produced at seances that the mediums or spiritualists held. So in parapsychology, an apport is the alleged paranormal transference of an article from one place to another, or an appearance of an article from an unknown source that is often associated with poltergeist activity and or seances. So the medium or the psychic demonstrates the manifestation of an apport under the guise of the seance. And so these were items that were classically linked to the people, the deceased of the people that were in the sitting. So this could be jewelry, personal effects, coins. Usually they're small items, although I have read of items as big as a newspaper that were apported, and the newspaper items were specifically referred to in the skull experiments in England. So if you're really interested in this type of phenomena that supposedly was done under a more stringent setting, with people who were invited to take part to scrutinize their process, the skull experiments were extremely good at securing the area, supposedly, to where the production of these items was not a fake. So the biggest concern with apports in the years past were they fake? A lot of them were proved to be fake, and a lot of the mediums were uncovered their deceptive nature in producing these items on strings, or little areas where they had the personal effects that were released into the room. But there were some places and some instances that these apports were perceived as genuine. So my question has always been, if it is genuine, because I've never had this experience myself, but if it is genuine, then in my mind or my thought, how could this occur, or what physiologically is going on with this to cause this to happen? So let's look at some of the items. Like I said, coins, jewelry, pencils, keys are nowadays a big thing that is apported. Now, and not necessarily in a seance or a mediumship setting, but let's just say you go to get your keys and they're supposed to be in the spot where you always lay them, and you go there and they're not there. So you go about the house trying to find these keys, and you're looking everywhere, and you come back into the room, to the spot where originally your keys should be, and there they are. So now the question is, did you just not see the keys, or didn't register, or are they truly apported? 9 times out of 10, I feel like it is a true apportment, because the person, when they're at that spot where the keys are supposed to be, they're engaged in that moment. So usually it's not an overlooking of the item in that area. Let me check for questions. Hey to Soror, Pamela, and Karen. True apports, and this was another thing that I discovered in the research, because I've never experienced it myself. But true apports are said to usually have a popping sound or some kind of sound when they make entry from wherever they are into the physical plane in our dimension. So I was thinking, well, it sounds like teleportation to me. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Ghost Hunter over here on Instagram says it's a universal transfer and they are ported, or through a portal. And I agree with that. And I think it's like teleportation, because, we're making leaps and bounds with teleportation now. And teleportation is being achieved through entanglement, particles that are undergoing entanglement. And so now they're able to teleport with 100% accuracy, where they were not before. Now, so we're going to get into a little bit of quantum mechanics here in quantum physics. Entanglement is when two particles are so intertwined or so connected. And I'm going to make this really basic, just so that everybody can understand it. So the two particles are intertwined or entangled. When one reacts this way, it causes this type of reaction in the other one. It's simultaneous. And so it's automatic. If you do something to this particle, you're going to see a reaction in the other particle. And so that is entanglement. And so what I'm thinking is happening is that the entanglement is creating this teleportation with the apports. Another thing that the research was showing is that there weren't specific scientific studies of apports, and I think that that's due to it's like a spontaneous thing. And so how are you going to fit that into a scientific experiment? However, one person that came really close to apports was Nina Kalajna, and she was a Russian lady who was under scrutiny in the 1970s, was tested extensively in a military institute in Leningrad. And in one picture, she has her hands like this, and there's a ping pong ball suspended in the middle of it. And so she came pretty close to this definition of apports. So hey to Kim, Chastity, Beth, and Kathy, and Karen Ford. So let's look a little bit more. Have any of you guys had an apport happen to you? So Ghost Hunter over here says Thomas Fusco Beyond the Veil explains it. He's a quantum professor retired. Must read. That I'm definitely going to have to read, and thank you for putting that on there. Because when I went to do the research for this, there really isn't a lot out there, and it makes sense that this fits into a quantum explanation. So materialized objects, I feel like, are teleported through entanglement. And so teleportation is now becoming a reality. It's now a reality for us. And they've even accomplished teleporting calcium particles, believe it or not. And the entanglement is what I feel like makes the teleportation possible. So what I feel like is happening, and this is a long stretch, but I feel like, as you know from past shows, when we have talked about people radiating light and your cells radiating ultraviolet and infrared light, in a state of light, those photons become entangled. Now, the objects, let's just say, an object of someone's, like a necklace, okay? This can be imprinted with the energy from my body, or the photonic energy from my body, especially if I'm really attached to it and I really am, focused on this piece of jewelry. And so sometimes if it happens so much or for a long period of time or so intensely, that item will be imprinted with EMF, and we call that item a haunted item. So let's say this item has EMF, it has an imprint on it of my electromagnetic energy. And since it's attached to the light that's coming off of me, or my light, it becomes entangled and therefore is teleported to, through entanglement, the object of my desire, or the person I want to send it to, if I was in spirit world. Okay, that's a far stretch, but it's the only way that I can make this work, you guys. So what do you think, Ghost Hunter? It is a far stretch, but somehow it makes sense in my mind that you have to have that light energy, and then you'd have to have the quantum entanglement, and that would make this teleportation possible. It's still a physical item, but the entanglement allows it to piggyback on that particle to another location. Now, I have had objects disappear and reappear in different parts of the house. However, I never did hear a noise that happened with those items, because a lot of people were saying that there's a pop or a sound when the item is pushed back through our dimension. Now, I will say, on a lot of investigations I've been on, you can hear a pop or a noise when a spirit punches through our dimension and apparates. Now, that I have seen and experienced, but not the particular items. So let me check for questions. Hey to Chantel, Lyric, Cassie, and Mary. Hey to Top Ghost and Roy over here on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. So a lot of the stuff that I looked up, it was just people telling their incidents of apports. And, you know, they're all varied and different. But my main ones that I really liked were the ones that came from the skull experiments. And some of those said that when they experienced the apports, it sounded like a clap of thunder. So let's see. We have a question over here on Facebook. So Tim says, like the character at the end of K-Pax. Well, Tim, I'm not familiar with that, but I can go and find out. He says, I also read that story about the blue nun who was able to teleport herself from Madrid, Spain, all the way to the United States and Taos Indian nation back in 1556. She preached to those people living there, and that's now New Mexico. Absolutely. And that, Tim, is what they're finding out with teleportation is the distance for entanglement makes no difference at all. I mean, we started out with trying to teleport things across the room. We were successful with that. And then they went to like across the United States. And now what we've gone to is teleportation from the Earth out into space. And so, you know, that's with 100% accuracy using entanglement. So it's really, really fascinating. And entanglement and this quantum process is the future of computers and the internet, I feel like, now, because they're looking at quantum connections now. And because of entanglement, the security of those systems is going to be sound because of the replicated energy and not being able to you know, interrupt that or copy it. So Beth says, my mother had a lapis lazuli necklace that had been sported to other destinations that she's not been there. We found it once at a rental movie place. Wow, that's crazy, Beth. I wonder what made that necklace go to these different destinations. Chime in and see what your postulation is on that, because was it something that was her favorite thing? Did this necklace go to places that she wished maybe she could have gone or wanted to go? So that's my question to you. And hey, to Steve Trebek, thanks for joining us. So Tim, yeah, thanks for that comment. I did not know about the blue nun. That is awesome. And if you would put a link maybe in the comments to some of this stuff in case the viewers want to see this or want to know more about it. And Ghost Hunter, I will post a link on Facebook to this reference that you mentioned here, because that is it sounds like that is something that we really need to read a little bit further, because I had trouble finding information on apports. So if you go to a medium session and things are produced out of thin air, it may or may not be for real. You need to be skeptical, and you need to be open as well. I think it's a healthy skepticism paired with an open mind, and you probably won't get taken advantage of. But anyway, so that's all the material I have for you guys this evening. I highly encourage you to go to the skull experiments and look at those, because that documentary was really fascinating. And next week, now this is going to be special. Next week I'm at Scarefest. We will be at Scarefest probably Friday evening. So instead of a regular show, what I'm going to do is a live stream from the fest, and I'll probably walk you around and let you look at some of the booths of some friends of mine that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let's see, Steve says, Lapis was worn by Jodie Foster in the movie Contact. Carl Sagan knew. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Lapis is one of the biggest gemstones that is used, I feel like, for psychic development and a lot of other stuff too. Until Scarefest and next Friday, kisses from Kentucky, and I will see you at the fest next week.
Thank you.